the router, that tiny black box that sits on the bottom of your jungle of cables. You don't even notice him until something goes wrong. And when it does, you usually go quickly to the store to grab a new cheap one. Right? Am I right? That's at least how I do it. But what if you have a multi-story house with more than one household where there is many users? How do you work with that? Well, as you can see right here, I am in the basement of our family's house, and above me there's 3 stories of households and 3 stories that need internet, which means we have cables run throughout the house from the main switch, and then cables go to every floor and then to every room. But every year there's more and more devices that need Wi-Fi or that are Wi-Fi only, for example, phones, laptops, and so on and so forth. And this has led to us having a new router in every floor, and even those routers don't cover the whole floor, even though they were not the cheapest ones. So what we could do is get repeaters and boosters to double the signal to all those corners that the Wi-Fi doesn't reach by its own. But that usually just doubles down on your internet speeds. And that is not good if you want to stream Netflix. So one solution to this problem would be a mesh network. In this case, you have one main router or node and many other satellite nodes that don't need the internet to be plugged in, they just need electricity. And they communicate with each other to provide you with the highest internet speeds possible. Which sounds amazing in theory, but how does it work actually in practice? I have here the Linksys VELOP, and I gave it a little test to see if it would be a viable solution for our a lot of households, a lot of users problem with Wi-Fi. First thing you notice is it's not black, so you don't actually need to hide it. It also promises easy setup via smartphone app, which I like very, very much. It says it can cover a 3-bedroom home with a full-speed Wi-Fi. So I'm really keen on testing that, and let's go. First, I measure the speed of the current Wi-Fi. So right at the Wi-Fi, in a place that, according to my brother, has really bad reception, that is the toilet. He says he can't even browse 9 gig. So then we removed the existing Wi-Fi and plugged in one node from the VELOP system. The setup process was really easy and straightforward. And what I loved the most about it, I didn't need a laptop to do that. I could do everything through my phone. It was so easy, it guided me through, I loved it. So let's test the speeds again. This is right at the router, and this is in the toilet. I think it's pretty safe to say that we can browse 9 gig without any problems. So let's try something a bit more ambitious and go 1 story below. So as you can see, even our grandma could easily use the internet. And then we'll plug in the second node down here and see if we can actually cover the whole house with just 2 nodes. Let's go. At first, I wanted to plug it in at the far end of the Wi-Fi, and that didn't go through at all. So I started moving closer and closer to the point where the upstairs Wi-Fi node was to find the perfect spot where they will connect flawlessly. It took me a while, and the second node actually needs to be in a very strong Wi-Fi zone from the first node. And in a house that is made out of brick, this is kind of hard to find 1 story below. We figured out that the best place would be almost under the first Wi-Fi. That's where the best signal was, and that's where also the electricity plug was. And with that, we got amazing speeds also downstairs, not just upstairs. But I could see that with the distance, the speed was falling pretty fast. I have to say, the whole floor is about 100 square meters with brick walls. And that is horrible when it comes to Wi-Fi, because the coverage just doesn't go through the walls, especially not old thick walls. So as you can see at the far end away from the router, the speeds are still usable. You can still do a lot with 50 megabits per second, but it's not the full speed that we were getting by the router. Of course, with 2 nodes, it would be crazy to think that you could cover 2 whole stories. But at the same time, if I would have 2 nodes in every story, I think I could easily cover the whole house, which would mean 2, 4, 6, 8 nodes to cover the whole 4 stories, or even 3 knots for that matter. The interesting thing is you can do a lot with this thing. I was quite impressed. I mean, the technology is not there yet, but I think it's a really interesting concept and I would love to see where it goes. I found the app super easy to navigate, sometimes even a bit too easy. So when I wanted to delete one of the knots, I couldn't find a setting for that. And then I figured out that maybe I could just press like the reset button inside the knot, and that actually worked. In the specifications, it says it should cover double that. It should cover 185 square meters with 1 knot, but that is a theoretical measurement done in an empty place. So every wall, every piece of furniture, every piece of a human will absorb or reflect some of this signal. If you have a large home and you want to cover it with one Wi-Fi network that has one password, one everything, it's easy to use and easy to set up, this is an amazing thing. But it might cost you a lot. These 2 knots, I think the package with 2 knots is about 300, 400 euros, depends on where you buy it. And then you can imagine how much additional knots cost. So yeah, how do you cope with your Wi-Fi losing strength signal problems? I would really like to know. Let me know in the comments down below, and I will be seeing you soon with another video. Bye!